Spirit has a powerful message for you today around the power of discernment, around balancing and finding that sweet spot between flexibility and structure, determination and spontaneity. When we do that, it fuels our growth and advancement and aligns us with more ease and flow. Hello, my beautiful solopreneurs. I am so excited to see you today. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome. I want you to know, as we read the cards today, this is not about predicting your future. It's about helping you lead yourself with greater clarity, confidence, and trust. I am Kristin Nicole Lobdell, and I believe that self-leadership is the foundation of a meaningful life and a sustainable business. By showing up for yourself today, you're strengthening your connection to your own inner wisdom, and that has the power to transform every area of your life. I am living proof of that. I have done this for years, and I am finally getting to a place where I truly am seeing the results on the outside. So today we're going to move through the K&L Co. Self-Leadership Spread. It's a 5-card framework designed to help you regulate, validate, witness the deeper message unfolding, receive aligned guidance, and integrate the wisdom into your next steps. As always, take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and trust your own inner knowing above all else. These are general readings intended to support your self-reflection and your intuition. But if you would like some guidance and one-on-one support, I'd be honored to support you in a private intuitive guidance session, and you can book that using the link in the description. All right. So, as I mentioned, today's message from Spirit, I pulled your overall energy cards first, but I have not pulled your tarot cards yet. And actually, today we're doing something a little different from the overall energies. Spirit was telling me that we needed to tap into a little bit of ancient Chinese wisdom today. And so I have a really cool deck that revolves around the divination tool of the I Ching. And so I will link this deck in the description as usual, but Paul O'Brien has created the Visionary I Ching cards. And I love this because the I Ching was actually one of my first divination tools that I absolutely fell in love with. I used to give readings to all my roommates. And what we would do is we would toss coins to figure out the hexagrams. And I'm not going to get too deep into explaining the hexagrams, but what the cards do is the cards put all the hexagrams on cards for you, and it just makes it so much more convenient, but equally as powerful, in my opinion. So let me talk about the card that we pulled today from this deck. It's a number 60. And so sixes represent harmony, progress, and support. So I'm already seeing that you are progressing forward and creating some balance and harmony in your life. But the title of this card is Limits and Connections. And as usual, I like to give you a little, what was the author intending for you to get from this card description here? Um, and so the trigrams represent water above and lake below. And so that is a little bit significant. Once we get into the description here, I'll explain why. Limits are necessary to channel energy, guide purpose, and lend direction to life. Constantly swimming in a sea of boundless opportunity leads to exhaustion. Winging it alone, wild and free, in a sky of unlimited directions and opportunities only leads to becoming lost. In human affairs, the making of decisions and alliances necessarily implies limitation. For in choosing one path, another must be left behind. A key to a successful life is to select your limits consciously and carefully, to be discriminating in the setting of personal boundaries, but also knowing when to fly in formation. Just as thrift often precedes prosperity, letting go of selfish interests leads to a greater personal reward. Only by consciously accepting useful limits can your energy be channeled to good purpose and lead to lasting accomplishment. Aim for a middle way between discipline and freedom of spirit. Limits will come of their own accord, but to consciously make good decisions and select compatible affiliations, now that's knowing how to fly. However, do not go overboard on discipline. Even limitation must be limited in the effort to bring order and direction into your life, to avoid choking off vital sources of enthusiasm and spontaneity. In groups and organizations, rules and regulations should strike a balance between being too strict and being too lenient. If these guidelines are too difficult to live with, frustration will build and ultimately become destructive. If the rules are too soft, sloppiness will become acceptable and energy will dissipate. The best path is the one that allows for the unfolding of individual potential while encouraging self-discipline and focus along the way. Okay, so yeah, as I mentioned, this is about balancing that sweet spot between flexibility and structure, right? When we're too strict, we pinch ourselves off from fun and enthusiasm and spontaneity. But when we're too soft, we our energy is not contained and it can't move forward in any sort of direction, so it also kind of stays. And so the significance of the water above lake below situation, right, the element of water here, right, water represents our emotions, our relationships, and our intuition and our connection to what we are doing. And so if we think about it, a lake is an example of water that has a container, right? And then water above is kind of above, like if we think of the higher mind and like higher thinking, maintaining that awareness and that cognizance of allowing the flexibility. Water is just water and it goes everywhere without containment, right? And so, the I Ching really utilizes elements and nature to kind of communicate some of these lessons here. But with the I Ching, you always pull two cards because there's an emphasis on changing lines here. And I pulled another card which told me what your changing lines are. So there's a couple of more messages that come with this card that lead to the outcome of the changing card. So what's happening here to reveal kind of the pattern a little bit deeper is there are changing lines on line 1, 3, and 5. And so the changing line says, before initiating any significant action, a wise person first evaluates their ability to successfully carry out the task. If the limitations are overwhelming, no action will be taken. But inaction is a decision and an action of sorts, because the passage of time itself can bring strength to what has been weak and energy to what has been still. Maintain a steady purpose, but act only when you can feel that the time is ripe. In this way, limitations serve your best interest. With discretion and good timing, anything can be carried through to resolution. So, you may be in a time where you are feeling like, you want to take action, but maybe you're resisting action for some reason. What this changing line is telling me is that sometimes it's advantageous to wait. We don't want to stop, become stagnant and take too long to make decisions. But there are times when, maybe not moving forward right now is actually allowing us to build up resources that will help us move forward in a more powerful way in the future. So that could be a message for someone. The next changing line is line 3. To live a life of leisure before having contributed to society, to act willfully and selfishly in violation of reasonable rules and customs, to defy social conventions for the thrill of doing so. These are excesses that lead to seriously unfavorable consequences. Take initiative and find pleasure inside the bounds of what is fair and honorable. And so, what I get from this is having your priorities straight, right? It's really important. So, again, like the idea of maybe waiting to take action right now is actually wise because you don't want to rush into something before you're ready. And the example that comes to my mind immediately is, you don't want to go out and blow all of your money before you've made it before, right? Before you've put in the work to earn your money, it's not wise to go out and like rack up a huge credit card bill, right? Because that is actually going to work against you in the future. If you don't already have the money coming in to pay off that credit card debt, your debt is going to rack up to a point where it just weighs on you too heavily and actually works against you because you're going to feel bad about yourself because you created that, right? And so honor the feeling to wait until the timing is right. Um, and then the last changing a line is do not ask others to wear a yoke you would be unwilling to carry on your own shoulders. Impose no rules that you yourself cannot live by. This is especially true if you are in a position of leadership. If you impose limits on others that fit the circumstances and do not overly limit their freedom, great success is possible. So here it is about putting ourselves in the shoes of the people around us, right? Especially if we're in a leadership position and as solopreneurs, we really are trying to guide our teams sometimes. We're also trying to guide our clients, the clients that we serve. And so, uh, not asking things of them that you wouldn't yourself do, right? So, taking the time to recognize, like, don't just ask them to do stuff until you have checked in with yourself to see how does this actually feel for me to do it? What if I was actually carrying out this thing? Also, making sure that whatever advice or guidance that you are giving to either your teams or your clients is grounded in experience, that, and wisdom that it actually works, right? Don't just like throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. What brings you success is making sure that you're not, overwhelming people with these ideas that haven't really fully been tested yet, right? And so where that leads, according to our I Ching guidance here, is pushing upward, okay? Growth, right? Pushing through the soil, essentially. Pushing upward is a 46, 6 and 4 is 10. So that breaks down to a 1. Ones represent new beginnings and potential, right? And so natural advancement is represented by growth in springtime. And yesterday we had that springtime card come up. So this really is kind of an extension of yesterday's reading. When new plant life pushes upward through the earth, the emphasis is on upward motion, a movement from obscurity to influence with growth that is supported by adaptability and an absence of obstacles. Constant flexible growth is the key attribute of a plant pushing upward. This reading suggests a period of promotion and prosperity for you. The wise person in harmony with fate is sensitive but determined. Make a sincere effort to apply a determined effort against the forces of inertia by bending around obstacles that arise, and good fortune will follow. By remaining tolerant and flexible, you will retain the conscious innocence that best fuels growth and advancement. Willpower and self-control are necessary to manage growth properly, but an inner enthusiasm for life is what drives it. So, yeah, that really kind of brings the message on home of those changing lines there, as you can see. And all right, let's get into the actual self-leadership spread portion of the reading. I'm just going to do a little bit of quick tarot for you. As you know, I like to clarify even more deeply. So what does this mean, Spirit? What do you want my collective to know in the regulate position? What is grounding them right now? Let's get some clarity on the situation that is asking them to slow down and return to, all right, return to themselves. Okay, how about the validate position? All right, next we're pulling for the witness position. And then our guidance for next steps, as well as our integration and embodiment. Okay, here we go. All right, so right off the bat, what we're getting here is the Queen of Wands is coming through in the regulate position. This is what is grounding you right now. The Queen of Wands, she is about inner mastery, inner mastery of her spirit and her actions. You know, she is inspired, she is ambitious, and you know, she knows how to continue moving forward in a way that keeps her and her team motivated and inspired. Um, she knows how to stay in that sweet spot between flexibility and structure. And so this is what is asking you to slow down. Um, you know, she's determined, but she maintains that enthusiasm that we were talking about with the previous card. And so this is what is you know, you stepping into your Queen of Wands energy is what is being asked of you right now. And so that's what's stabilizing you. You are making an effort to step into this Queen of Wands embodiment, essentially. Okay, so in the validate position, this is what you're feeling that deserves to be honored. And we've got the Six of Swords. Swords are about our mental clarity. It is about getting, you know, truth, inner truth, right? Um, and the six is about, again, harmony, progress, support. You're moving away from things that no longer serve you, right? You're leaving some things behind. They are sailing away from their old life and they are moving towards calmer waters, right? There, if you see here, there's waves here on this side, but on that side, there's a really smooth sea in front of them. So you're going through a transition. This is what deserves to be honored. So recognize that you're in this transitional time. You know, you're releasing old baggage. It's kind of like a rite of passage here. Because your Queen of Wands is being activated. Um, just recognize that, don't try to fix it, just accept it and go with that flow, right? But as the overall energy is telling us, we do need some bits of structure, and that's where we're becoming aware of the kind of structure that we need in order to keep our spirits high. In the witness position, we've got your Knight of Pentacles, and our Pentacles can be, you know, it can be about money, but it can also be about stability, your home life. And it's really an earthy type of energy. But the Knight of Pentacles is a very positive card. It's also about action, right? And so this is what is happening beneath the surface. And so the truth that is emerging is you are, you know, you're gaining insight here around the kind of hard work and productivity that's actually advantageous to you moving forward, right? You know, what kind of routine actions support you maintaining this enthusiasm for what you're doing and what you're creating in the world. In the guidance position, this is your most aligned next step. And this is the Ace of Cups. You know, this can be about, you know, aces are about new beginnings and potential in the situation because this is your aligned new next step or your aligned next step. You're being encouraged to um, follow your heart essentially, right? Tap into your intuition. Think about how the things that you're doing make you feel. Um, this is where your power is in the situation, right? What inspires your creativity? What kind of actions are you doing on a daily basis that actually inspire your creativity and make your cup feel like they're running over, whether you're, regardless of how much money, regardless of the money piece, right? Like even just actions that bring you up inside. Um, so, like, what would you do all day even if you weren't getting paid? Essentially, I guess is what I'm trying to say about that. So that's your most aligned next step is to think about those kinds of things, the things that make your cup overflow. Those are gifts from God, right? Those are the things there, and you want to lean more into those things because that's where your power lies. And so then, what shifts when you embody this is a sense of peace. You gain a sense of peace. Okay. The Four of Swords is about rest, relaxation, meditation, contemplation, recuperation, right? And so when you lean more into those activities that that make your cup overflow, that make your heart sing, that your intuition and your creativity encourage of you, then you enter, like, I want to say, the peace that passes understanding, right? You can be at rest. It's like, I know this card can be a little bit, I was always confused by this card because I'm like, she looks dead here. Like, what does that mean? Like, this can't be good. But it's really about, like, it's kind of, if you think about it, it's about like kind of dying to these old things that used to hold you back, like the old swords, these old mindsets, like a leaving behind of the baggage, right? You're kind of like dying to those things. And in that sense, death and transformation is actually a good thing, right? When we're leaving behind the stuff that no longer serves us, sort of thing, we get to this, we can rest in peace, right? And so this isn't meant to be negative because, again, what I said, like yellow in tarot, gold in tarot represents positivity and happiness. So yeah, that's where you end up. I love this reading for you, you guys. Let me know in the comments what you think about those I Ching cards. I mean, some people love them. I don't know. Some people don't like them, but that's where spirit was guiding me today. But yeah, when we find that balance, our cup is bound to overflow, and we're able to, seek peace and move forward with like a blissful peace. And that's what it's all about. All right. Until next time, I'm sending you so much love.